You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. Phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, but we got Trucker Bob on the line.
Hey, Ryan. Trucker Bob once more. Just one more thought. I wonder what the record is for a field goal kicker hitting the goalpost or uprights in a season. I mean, our kicker's, 2 so far.
Does he?
So I wonder what the record is. I don't know. I don't know how you can find that out, but it'd be cool to find that out. Trucker Bob out.
I don't know. I'm not going to try looking only because I'm 95% sure I'm not going to find the answer. And on top of that, I'm also willing to bet that our kicker is not going to break that record or even come close to it, only because I'm confident that he won't be kicking for us this week. Now, maybe I'm way wrong on that. It's hard to replace a guy in a week, and having seen who they brought in, didn't make me feel much more comfortable that we're going to be moving in that direction, because they picked up 2 guys that are as bad or worse as far as what they've put on tape so far. But, you know, we'll see how she goes. There's still those old guys just out there waiting for a paycheck. I tend to think we're a team searching for a Super Bowl. So if it costs you, a couple million more than you feel they're worth, I don't know. I mean, I understand wanting to be on the right side of the, value to dollar equation, but I don't know. It's going to cost you an extra $1 million. Like, I don't care. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see how it goes.
Sorry, Ryan. I had to call in with one more thought. What would happen at the end of the Eagles game if Love hadn't gotten hurt? Could he have driven that team down for a game-winning touchdown like he did against Minnesota? I mean, a minute 18 from, 6 or 4 yard line or something like that? I mean, that was incredible. Just a thought.
So you're trying to make me remember things now, Trucker Bob, and my memory is to the point where I don't remember even the game last week. I've already begun to forget all the stuff. My recollection is we were already done. Like, that was the last play, and then to make it worse, he was hurt. But I guess that's not true, because we had the backup come out for like a play or two, so I guess there would have been some. I would say I doubt it because of the way things were going. I know it was not feeling very good. And as far as Jordan leading the drive, I mean, he's done it and he has the capability. It just didn't feel like he had the capability on that day. But you never know. I suppose it's entirely possible.
Hey, Ryan. It's me again, Pedro de Brazil. I know I said I wasn't going to call again, but the second half was a little bit better. The team actually stepped up. We didn't got the win, but it certainly got better, so I'm a little more calmed down. That being said, I can't stand losing games because of the kicker anyway. I mean, that's I don't know. I don't want that. That needs to be fixed. I don't care if you need to use a high pick for that. We need to fix this. We need to go in a team like the Colts that are probably obviously not going to win nothing this year. They're not going to the playoffs. So try to trade for the kicker or something.
Yeah.
We need a reliable kicker. We can't keep losing these types of games, because when you get to the playoffs, I know that's just what's going to happen. So, yeah, we need to clean this up. Kicker is an issue. I know it's not the only one, but it's probably the oldest issue of the team. And you know what? We have capital. We can trade. We can do stuff and fix this. So Gutekunst needs to make a move. He just needs. It's unacceptable. I mean, I'm done. I'm done with that. But yeah, I think that's it. Hope we have better luck this week. So yeah, we'll back up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess I hadn't put a lot of thought into the trade scenario. You'd have to try to think of like what kind of a team would want to give up their kicker. I acknowledge you'd want to find a team that's like out of the race or whatever, but still, that doesn't mean you're just willing to give up your good players. If you have a good kicker, and kickers can be on your team for a long time, it's not like I'm giving up hope in my franchise forever. I don't want to just give away things to give it away. I don't know. It would have to be a situation where, I mean, nobody has two kickers. That's the thing. It's like if they had if it was earlier and somebody had two kickers, you could make that trade. We had that opportunity at the beginning of the season. We had a bunch of options, a bunch of guys floating around, a bunch of guys we could have, taken that got cut. We had two guys on our own roster. We picked one and we picked the wrong one. Yeah, I mean, I would guess it would have to be an old kicker that's expensive, that a team is willing to part with sooner than later anyways, that is not really doing very good. But even then, they would need to have a plan B. I mean, either they would have to take our kicker, maybe as like a short-term deal, and then try to find something else. I don't know. Indy might actually be somewhat interesting. He's only 30 years old, going on 31, which in kicker years, I guess, is relatively young, but he is the most expensive kicker in the NFL. There's maybe a sales pitch in there where you say, look, there's no reason for you to be spending $6 million on a kicker when you suck this much. Like, let us give you a little draft capital. Let us give you a little cash, little cap relief. You can come back swinging next year. I mean, we're not going to give you a ton as far as draft capital or money for that matter, but every little bit helps. You're rebuilding here. Matt Gay is their kicker, if I didn't mention that. Who else has got an expensive old guy on a bad team? Seattle, Atlanta, Tampa, Arizona, Pittsburgh. Las Vegas has already said they're trying to win right now. Philly, Miami? I don't think so. I think they're still diluted. Buffalo, Houston, Chicago. Baltimore, Tennessee is 14 with Nick Folk. Nick Folk. It's funny because didn't we get this kicker out of Tennessee? There you go, Nick Folk. Not the most expensive guy, but he is 39 years old in the final year of his deal. That might be the move right there if you were going to do it. You might have to let Tennessee bleed a little more. I have to assume they know they're done. It's embarrassing to come back to Tennessee and be like, look, we got that quarterback, and I know we beat you with your old quarterback, and that was embarrassing. But we took your kicker, and he sucks, and that was embarrassing for us. How about, I mean, let's be honest. We took that kicker because we thought he was doing a good job with you. So maybe you guys will be great with him, and you need a reset button. How about we do a little kicker swap here? A guy that you're familiar with. You send us 39-year-old Nick Folk, and we just move on with our lives. Because let's be honest, that dude, you can only kick so many field goals. You're still going to be losing out there, let's be honest. I think the biggest issue with that is Titans fans would riot. Because outside of Nick Folk, how many good players do they have? I don't know. It's a tough sell. I think it's a call that you have to make. I'm sure they would ask for way too much. And there is a limit, as much as it's an emergency, there's a limit for what I'd be willing to give up for 1 year of a kicker, because there's a good chance next year we're having the exact same situation. We could offer, I guess he's turning 40. He's turning 40 in, 4 days? He's turning 40. He's been in the league for 17 years. So we could offer 41-year-old Nick Folk a new contract. But I don't know. But we'll leave it at that. Let's just say that's the move. It's never going to happen, but there you go.
Come on, Pack Daddy. What's up, man?
What's up?
Figured I'd call in, just watch the Packer game, did my Sunday routine, went to the car wash, vacuumed my car,
nice.
Hashtag adulting.
Oof, it's rough.
That being said, I've had a minute to digest the game. Yeah, I actually don't think man, I just hate the Vikings, man. Like, of all the teams that you don't want to lose to at home, I think it's probably the Vikings. That being said, my main takeaway, I'm sure somebody else has probably called in, already talked about it. Man, the kicking, dude, like, what are we doing? Especially the fact that the veteran who apparently won the job in camp, Joseph, cut him. Now he's on the Giants looking good. I mean, Goody, dude, we got to get an answer on that. Yeah, it's like, hey, man, you got 17 at the blackjack table in Joseph. Now we're going to go ahead and hit for an Arbison and try to get 21. Bust. All right. Well, we'll get it next week. I liked that the team showed a lot of fight in the second half. They didn't stop fighting. Competitive spirit on display, but still a bad one. All right. Catch everyone later.
I actually think that's a perfect analogy, 17 at the blackjack table, because that's one of those, like, it's not a good hand. You're not happy with 17 because winning with 17 it's not great. And that is what we had with our current situation. But there is still a thing called conventional wisdom. And conventional wisdom says you don't hit. You stay right where you are. Unfortunately, you let it ride. You hope they bust. We didn't do that. We started doing what people that don't play a lot of blackjack do, and they're like, who knows, man? Never know. Could get a 4, could get a 3, 2 ace. Who knows, man? Crazy stuff happens in the world. Hit me. And, you end up with a face card and bust right out of the room. Just massively bust. Everybody looks at you and groans. The guy next to you who needed a 10 wants to strangle you. He's sitting there with 11. And out comes a 4. That dude is going to find you in the parking lot and just start beating you. Having sat at blackjack tables, I know how that goes. Mostly because my uncle was the guy that would actively scold people until you got up and left. Like, he'd be playing blackjack, and if the guy next to him didn't make good decisions, he would just rag on the guy over and over and over until he got up and walked away. Basically just calling him a piece of trash. It was funny. But I think that's it. I mean, listen, if Ted Thompson was the guy in that room, first of all, Ted Thompson was your Mason Crosby, would probably still be here. But even if we did move on, I mean, listen, there's no way he moves on from Anders. I'm sorry to tell you that Anders would have been the answer. But I genuinely think that's the direction we would have gone. Maybe Joseph, but I doubt it. But no, we got Gutekunst, and he's, it's worked in our favor a lot with him being a little bit of a wild man, a little bit more aggressive in free agency, a little bit more aggressive with everything. But sometimes he gets aggressive, and again, it's like that hitting on 17 thing. He'll hit on some stuff and it'll just be, he's on a roll, and it's like, man, this guy's great. And then he hits on a 17 and busts, and it's like, what are you doing? What? Is he an idiot that's just been getting lucky? Like, what was that, bro? You're sniffing your own farts too much, bro. You're not that good, all right? Just stop. You're good, but you're not that good. Just like, meh, these guys are okay, but we can do better. I want that random guy right there. Like, what? That guy? Yeah. I just got a feeling, I don't know. I turned on the tape. Did you? Well, I don't know. I was watching the preseason game. I saw him kick a field goal. He just looked good, He looked smooth. Felt right. Feels good. I am Brian Gutekunst, okay? Do you understand who you're talking to right now? I said I felt it. Deep down in my bowels. How dare you question me? But, I mean, I think the good thing here is it's bad enough that you have to believe that they're going to recognize the mistake and fix it. Or I shouldn't say fix it. I don't know if there's a fix. We can't just assume there's a fix. There might just only be bad options out there. For example, one of the best options that I know of that's available is Anders Carlson. That's one of the best options that's out there right now. Not saying it's the best. Haven't fully fleshed out everything, but that's one of the best. And there's a lot of heartache in that decision. It's a better decision. He would have made probably all of those, maybe not the 37-yarder, but he probably hits all of those. Might have missed a couple of the extra points, but, I don't know. All right, who do we got here? Tom, what do you got going on, Tom?
Hey, Ryan. It's been a while. It's Ty Trump from good old Wyoming.
What's up?
Yeah, your Packernet After Dark is going to get ugly today, isn't it? Man, I didn't actually get to see the first half. Apparently it was 28-0. So that's not good. But I guess the second half wasn't so bad. I did get to at least listen to that. Jordan Love sounds like he was pretty rusty, and I'm not going to really get into the, hey, he's good second half, but bad first half. I know a ton of people are probably calling for Malik over Jordan right now, which I think is dumb.
No.
I don't think Malik would have gotten us anywhere near, we wouldn't have made any kind of comeback. I mean, as much as I like Malik, I just don't think.
To be fair, though, would we have needed as big of a comeback with Malik? Could we have scored some more points with less turnovers, et cetera, and balls that were not hitting the dirt so that guys could actually catch them? I'm just saying. And this is not Malik is better than Jordan, but this is me saying, considering how rusty he was and the fact that we needed a whole half for him to get unrusty and then needed this giant comeback in order to overcome the big deficit. I'm just saying, win, lose, or draw. I don't know that Jordan needed to be out there for that, but he survived it, and it was a heck of a practice, right? Hopefully he has all week of practice so that he's really ready this upcoming week. But I don't know. I guess I'm just glad he got out of there healthy, because at one point when he got up and looked like he was limping, I was ready to just jump through my TV and strangle the Green Bay Packers coaching staff for whatever decisions they've been making.
That could happen, but hopefully it's a good sign that, I mean, it's kind of like last year where we just struggled at the beginning and took a little bit to get on. So that's all I can say is I hope. Anyway, overall, I guess right now I'm kind of hoping that Minnesota is that team just because, I mean, hey, we came back, I guess. I know it's not where everybody else wants us to be, or, that's basically it. So anyway, you were right, though. As fans, we turn real quick against whatever could have been good last week. I'm sure people are calling for Halfley and asking for Malik back and all that stuff, but I feel like this Minnesota team is probably pretty good, and they probably, I don't think either of the last two games would have measured up to these guys. So anyway, have a good one with Packernet After Dark, and here's to next week.
Yeah, I think the good thing about Jordan playing is how good I feel about the team. If Malik was out there and we lose the game, I mean, we're kind of just sitting here shrugging our shoulders, going, well, hopefully Jordan plays this week, and then hopefully everything's okay. We don't know anything. Seeing Jordan lead that comeback and kind of bust the rust off, it felt good. All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back and hear from Jared, the Uber driver, I think. By the way, Tom, did you say Ty Trump? Ty Trump? Why do I have Tom from Wyoming? I don't know. Who knows how these names come about? Anyways, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas.
What's up?
Or Dern, or whatever my name
Dirt
is
Trader.
on the AI thing.
Dirt
Whatever.
Trader.
I mean, I'll go by that if that's what the people are liking. But
it's kind of cool. For some reason, it's like Fur Trader. Like it feels like an old. Plus, you're from Texas. It's got like an old school Western kind of thing. I don't know. I mean, Dur kind of makes it sound like you're stupid, like Fur Trader, but he's a dummy. But that's not. I didn't think about that till right now. So. We can just pretend that that's not a thing. Dirt Trader, the Fur Trader. I don't know. What's up, Jared?
So, I didn't get to watch the game today. Unfortunately, my daughter had a breath-holding spell and had a very bad episode to the point where we had to bring her to the ER.
Oh, no.
I'm not complaining about that. Just wish I got to see somewhat of the comeback that happened. But I'll tell you what, I was doing my best from not being able to watch the game to bring the Packers luck. Like, I saw it was 0-28, and then I put my hair up in a bun, and they scored a touchdown. So I'm like, okay, let's go. And I tried my best. I don't know what other things I could have done.
part of Texas you live in? They allow man buns in Texas? Must be like Dallas or something, right? Or one of the big cities. Can't imagine you're out in the boonies. I don't know. I don't know what happens in Texas. Man bun wasn't one of the things that comes to mind when I thought Texas. You know what I mean? But anyways.
Yeah, no. Also for the AI generation image thing,
yeah,
you can put in. I have hair like Clay Matthews.
Okay.
But shorter and more dad bod like. So I don't know how that would show up.
Sure. Well, we can find out.
Yeah, I tried my best to get some good luck for the Packers, but alas, we dug ourselves too big of a hole. But hey, I like the fight in the guys. They actually tried to come back and instead of an Aaron Rodgers led team where, maybe get down 21-0 and they just pound on the sideline. Just saying that was nice to see. And I like the fire and Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
Don't get a penalty, man, but I like to seeing that fire in him. But yeah, I know it was a tough loss, but hey, also update, my daughter is okay. She's doing better. And go Pack go. Everybody, it's going to be okay. We're going to bounce back. Go Pack go.
Well, glad everybody's doing all right on your end. Obviously, that's the most important thing. And yeah, I think most people feel confident. There's a lot of people upset, myself. Let's just be honest. Everybody's upset with the kicking situation because of how catastrophic that really is. It's hard to not make a big deal about it when I don't think we've lost a single game this year that wasn't within the margin of missed kicks. Could be wrong, but again, I don't feel like looking it up. I know we only had 2 losses, and I'm positive that one of them was, so it just kind of comes down to the Eagles. But that's a problem, man. This is a team that keeps games close. They're in games. A lot of games are going to be close. Not every game is going to be a blowout. And that's when little things matter. That's when drops matter, and accuracy matters, and field goals are a big one. Especially, the other thing too, especially with longer field goals, is you're sometimes giving them pretty good field position, which is not ideal. I guess that's the one benefit of him missing short field goals is they don't have super great field position. But man, that's annoying. Anyways, we'll see how that goes. Everything else I feel pretty good. I'm trying to think what else I'm really upset about or really worried about. There is quite a bit on the defense that I'm worried about. Every corner except Jair, the entire defensive line. I just for the heck of it, I saw something on social media. I was looking it up while you guys were talking. I am beyond terrified right now of our defensive line. It might be the worst pass rushing line in football. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but holy crap. Anyways, Daniel from California.
Hey, just digesting that loss. It wasn't that bad. I know it seemed bad. It was 28-0, and then it was 28-7 at one point, but I don't know. It's like one of those weird games where it's just like we miss field goals and they just get their touchdowns. We drop interceptions. Kind of felt like an old 49er game where it's just like it wasn't like the game. It was the efficiency of the other team. They stayed on track, and I remember a game we played the 49ers, and I think it was probably 2019 in the opening drive. Devontae got like a unsportsmanlike conduct or something going out of bounds, and it's just like everything fell off the wheels on the first drive. Kind of like this, where the first drive of defense, McDuffie drops a pick, and then they just become this unstoppable defense. And it took to the second half for Hafley to get everybody on board, but they didn't score the second half. Like we were, we could have really did a lot better. It's just, I don't know if it was game day jitters or what, but yeah, I think next time we're gonna beat those guys. Like once that we figured out what they were doing, and we were in control of that game. It's not that bad. Like, some guys are gonna be upset. Some guys are gonna be like, "Oh, we need a new kicker," all this stuff. It's like, dude, it's week 4. Come on, it's not that bad. Jordan's first, he was.
I was with you until you said kicker. This is a historically bad run for a kicker. Again, you're shooting for like 80 to 90% on field goals. I don't know if we just forgot that because things have gotten bad for us. 85% is kind of what you're going for. The fact that Packer fans were kind of accepting 75% from our kicker coming into this game, he'd kick 4 times, he'd miss 1. It's like, well, I'll accept that. I mean, that's well below average. And then for him to come in and miss 2 and be at whatever horrific percentage he is right now, one of the worst in football. I I understand patience, but at some point, like we get to the point with this kicker situation where almost anybody off the street is doing better than this. It's brutal.
Stuff coming out, but he just needed to shake off the rust. We got, what's week 4, so we got 12 more games or something, 13 more games, so yeah, this is where Jordan starts his MVP run.
Yeah, fine with that.
I think Jordan's freaking great, man. That's a good defense, and look what Jordan did. Like, he carved them up once he seen what they were doing. Purdy and Stroud got pulled against that defense, but Jordan came back, so man, pretty impressed with Jordan, really. So yeah, I don't know. People are going to complain about that game, but I thought it was fine. No, my only complaint really about that whole game was the defensive line. It's like, oh God, man, we can do better. I don't know why we're not converting pressures, and like their interior wasn't good, and now Devontae's hurt, but Rashawn's got to step up. Preston, you got to step up, man. Lucas Ines, you did good, and I saw tackles and stuff. You got to step it up. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I think that actually is our biggest issue right now, and I would love to get some answers on it. I know a lot of people are going to be like, no, Rashawn's double-teamed. Bro, you know I'm looking at that. So if you think that that's going to save your boy, stop it, because it's not. None of them are saved by the whole double-team trope. Yes, I've also seen on social media where somebody posted one screenshot of Rashawn Gary getting triple-teamed. I saw that, okay? It's one play. But, yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned the, Jordan going on his run. I've said a few times now, the last 2 years, it was kind of by mid-season. If he can get into that mode after a quarter as opposed to a half of a season, that would be massively beneficial for this team. It's very stressful to basically be in, I give up, let's focus on the draft mode. Even by, in the second year it happened, I was even like, listen, I'm not going to make the same mistake as last year. And then I did it because I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. It's just, the odds, it's like a 0.2% chance this is going to happen. Like, they have to dominate the rest of the season. And there's also no reason to believe it because we don't have Rodgers, we have Jordan. And it's like, I wonder if Jordan's good, and he's been kind of bad. So it's like, well, I guess he's not very good. And then it happened. So I'm going to refuse to make that mistake until we're completely eliminated from the playoffs, like I keep saying I'm going to do, but I'm just going to do it. But again, it would just be great if we didn't even have to get to that point this year. That'd be super good. I get that you think it's a funny joke, like Michael Scott with the fake firing thing. Like, oh, it's so funny. Like, you thought you were going to not be in the playoffs, and then like, bro, okay, 2 times in a row. Okay, 2 years in a row. It's not funny anymore. Knock it off. All right, let's take our final break because we got a bunch of Nate coming up. We got 3 in a row, and I just hate to have those broken up. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan, it's Nate. I didn't want to call in yesterday because I'm sure there was a million people calling angry already. But I got a call today to just vent some things out. So, first of all, before the game, I think my call got dumped, but I basically said, I hope that we play Malik Willis for multiple reasons. One, I was like, okay, if Jordan's still injured, don't play him. Just let Malik go in, because that also has the benefit of, if we lose the game, we had our backup quarterback in. It's kind of like we get that little escape valve. We have a little bit of an excuse, so it takes some of the edge and pressure off. And then the other thing is, he's been playing well, and he's the one who's been running the offense, and he won't have any rust in playing against the division rival. And I don't know. I knew before the game that Jordan was probably going to play, and then there were 2 things that I heard that before the game, I even told my wife, I think we're going to lose this game. And that was, one, I didn't know Jair was out. I thought he was still practicing, and I don't know if I missed something, but as soon as I heard Jair was out, I was like, that just brought our favorability. I think we were like 3-point favorites before. I was like, that wipes that out immediately. Like, not having Jair, what does the secondary look like? It's garbage. And I'm well aware that the defense picked it up, but to be honest, I didn't even make it through the first quarter. I could not watch that team. It was one of those games that I just knew from the beginning they did not come to play. And again, it was the secondary getting picked apart. And, I don't know why Keyshawn Nixon was our CB1 out there. I guess somehow he's the next best person because Jair and Valentine are out. But regardless, that's, I'm souring on a lot of this team at this point. If we're being fully honest, I don't know if we're a playoff team anymore. I thought coming into the season we were going to have a real shot, but you just like look at our record. We're 2-2. Who are our 2 wins against? Teams that are probably competing for top 5 picks, if not the first pick in the draft. And who do our 2 losses come from? 2 playoff caliber teams. That should tell you right there what kind of team we are, at least as of right now. Something's got to change. Jordan, if you're going to hold out and you're going to pull that in the off season, and then you're going to come in, play like in your first game, and then get injured, and then come back, and then I don't know whose idea it was for you to go in and only play with a sleeve and not a brace. I assume you had something in that decision, but let's just be honest, Jordan, not a great.
So obviously there's a part 2 and there's a part 3 here, but let me just interject on a couple things. First of all, I semi-agree and then somewhat want to hopefully try to interject a little bit of hope. Number one, I am nervous about a lot of things. As far as souring, the defense is scaring the crap out of me. I know you and I and a few other people are in the minority here, but I'm happy with the production so far. The problem is the production seems to 100% be dependent on turnovers, and that is not a reliable thing. There is no defense in the history of the universe that has ever just been like, oh yeah, we just get tons of turnovers all the time. No, it is a fleeting thing. It will last for a period of time and it will go away. And the question is, when that goes away, what are we left with? We're left with a team whose pass rush is putrid, whose secondary can't cover. That's not a great recipe, especially when you have linebackers that are not playing well and they can't stop the run. So, patience, yeah, sure, great. But, who's the one guy on this defense that's doing a good job? It's not any pass rusher. It's not any interior guy. It's not any linebackers, including Edgerrin Cooper, who had one good week, and then everybody's obsessed with him and continues to talk about him and wants to hype him up, despite the fact that, again, if you look at his grades, they've gone down every week. Jair's playing good football, not great football. Keyshawn is terrible. Stokes has been bad. Bullard, I think, is serviceable. McKinney has been great, but I still wonder, not that he's done anything bad, take away all the picks, where is he at? Is he number 1? Is he number 5? Is he number 10, 15, 20? I don't know. So the safeties are the only area where I feel pretty good. Linebackers, I'm terrified. Defensive line is awful. Corners are not good. It's a problem, and it needs to improve. We've seen the good, and not just with the turnovers. The second half of this game, they started to tighten up and everything, and that's cool. But we need pass rush, and we need guys that can cover, period. This scheme dictates the fact that you're going to have to play man sometimes, right? That's true no matter what scheme. But presumably, when we're running the Hafley scheme and we cannot cover man-to-man, we just cannot run the defense that Hafley was brought in to run. It's impossible. You can't do it. If you got guys that can just sit in zone and maybe can be successful once in a while sitting around covering a portion of the field, let's just bring Joe Barry back. Now, that's the only thing that's making me nervous. I think there's reasons to be excited as well. I think you can look at it and say there's no way that all of these guys stay this way as far as pass rush. Something's not clicking and it's about to click. Maybe a little bit more Edgerrin will get you. Whatever. More will be better. And, it's not to say that it can only last 4 weeks with the turnovers. It's a lot of times you'll see it last for a season. right? Though somebody's really good in turnovers for a season, but it doesn't carry over to the next season. So hopefully they can maintain this for a season. I don't know. Now, on the more positive side, you mentioned the 2-2 and compare the teams. That's sort of fair. And I know you said you checked out after the first quarter. I really wonder if you watched the second half, and if you would have felt a little better. Because I feel like everybody that watched the second half, even though I was I was done at halftime, that's why I came down to do the podcast. But just watching the second half, I think even just if you hear it, it's not as great as if you see it, because now you're seeing the defense play well, you're seeing Jordan play well, the receivers play well, et cetera, et cetera. But anyways, even if you did or didn't, doesn't really matter. The two losses were very narrow losses. They were so narrow that just a couple field goals could have absolutely made the difference, and we could be a 4-0 team. Secondly, we barely lost to the good teams when our offense was not playing well. So, I mean, if we believe that our offense is just bad and will always be bad, and we have drop issues and Jordan's not accurate and whatever, then yeah, we're in trouble. Obviously, I mean, if the assumption is that our players are bad, then the team will be bad. But if this is like knocking the rust off, which again, Jordan played one game, week 1, and the whole team, both teams looked terrible. Then Jordan came back, he looked bad for a half and wasn't able to overcome how bad things were in that first half. But when you watch that offense in the second half, you realize that's the offense we saw at the second half of last year. That is the offense that beats the crap out of a lot of teams. That is the offense that if we had seen it in week 1 and in week 4, we would be 4-0. No questions asked. It's not even debatable. So I know you left the caveat in as far as things can change. I would take it a step further and say things are likely to change, especially on the offense. I'm worried that the defense starts to regress a little bit if the turnovers don't maintain. I mean, we already saw the sacks dip, and look at how much of a drastic change that was. Might just seriously be a matter of Jair as the linchpin in his defense. If he's not there, we're in a lot of trouble. But I do think there's a lot of reason to assume the offense gets better, and when it does, there's a lot of reason to assume that this gets back to very similarly the team that they were last year, hopefully with a at least marginally better defense. And then we just got to figure out the freaking kicker situation.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one, so part 2 here. So obviously, yeah, I wish Malik Willis would have just played and just been done with that. That being said, I know the defense definitely picked it up, but you as much as you don't want to give them credit for all of the points that were given up. They did give up 14 points before I even blinked my in the first quarter. That was part of what made me turn the game off. Is the Packers have a tendency where if 3 bad things happen too quickly, they don't bounce back from it.
It was a very fast, and I think, again, to give credit to the Vikings, they've almost never been behind. I think this is a big part of what they do. They get off to really fast starts against teams. It's not an excuse. And again, McDuffie catches that freaking ball. It's a very different situation. It's about capitalizing on opportunities. Again, that seriously ticks me off when they do stuff like that. And there's nothing that makes me angrier than when a guy almost gets a pick and you see the defender like, oh man, and he's got like a smile on his face. It's like, no, you should just be pulled. That may have cost us the game. There's nothing funny about that. And as we saw, instead of a pick, momentum change, offense can maybe move down the field. They continue to drive effortlessly down the field and get 7 points.
So that was the Vikings go down, score almost immediately. And then you have us trying to score, and then we just shoot ourselves in the foot. You've got the missed field goal. That was really the big second thing. And then when they punched it in for another touchdown that quickly, I was like, that's too many bad things. They're not coming back. That's my theory, at least. But anyway, enough about the defense, because technically they played better today. The offense, I've mentioned Jordan Love a little bit already, but one of the other guys that I am just so disappointed in is Dontavian Wicks. I really have gone back and forth with him. The reason I didn't like him in the draft was he was the guy who his brother had to talk him into football. He was a basketball guy. He wanted to play basketball. That didn't happen. His brother talked him into playing football, and he's good at football. But the problem is, he's got the Eddie Lacy problem. Eddie Lacy. There was that Dickey guy, running back from back in the day. I forgot who he played for, but sometimes you're really good at something and you just don't like to do that thing. and I worry with him that he is very good at football, but doesn't like football. And that's fine sometimes, but in big games like this, that's when you see it. Like I don't know. I don't want to say he doesn't care. I assume he cares. I assume he at least wants to get his paycheck. But I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious that he's got the Eddie Lacy problem, where, everybody makes fun of him for being overweight, but I think it's pretty well known that it was just kind of like Eddie Lacy just didn't really want to play football. I don't know, but so Dontavian Wicks is on my list. Tucker Kraft, good Lord, man. You had a chance to be like tight end one. You had a chance to blow Musgrave out of the water. You could have been something in this league, but holy, you cannot play this badly and keep that role. You will be replaced so quickly if you play continuously like that. So I don't know. It's just I've soured on the team a lot. I don't think that we can lose to the playoff teams and blow the teams out of the water and consider ourselves to be.
So that, before we get to part 3, let me just interject with one thing here. I will say, if I were your doctor and I were going to prescribe something, the prescription would be something along the lines of, don't overreact to the bad and underreact to the good. I don't know that Tucker Kraft had the worst day ever. He had the fumble. That sucks. It happens, right? I mean, I honestly, I'm more upset that he didn't try to get out of bounds than somebody came and punched the ball out. Like, punching the ball out is a thing that happens, especially when they get a perfect connect with the fist in the ball, right? You should have gone out of bounds, though. The odds of you getting any extra yards compared to saving and preserving the clock, that's the dumbest thing that you did. He did also have a really awesome touchdown. Not just an automatic touchdown. Like, he took Harrison Smith, who's a really good safety, and just buried his face into the ground and then bulldozed through like 2 more guys for a touchdown. As for Dontavian Wicks, I get what you're saying. I'm the one that's been saying that for a while. That was my whole critique of him to begin with. And I'll say this for Dontavian. I mean, as much as people might want to roll their eyes or whatever at that notion, look, the theory is there. If he doesn't want that theory to be perpetuated and he wants to, make it seem like he does care about football, he should play like he cares about football. Because on the positive side, I already talked about Wicks. The fact that he's the most targeted lends to the fact that he's probably one of the better guys on the team as far as being open, right? Jordan sees him and is like, there he is. There's the throw. To him more than anybody else. Now, the throws were off, but still, that's kind of the point. Romeo Doubs, and I know he didn't have a great day either, but Romeo Doubs, when he had a drop, was pissed on the sideline, was throwing his helmet around because he takes pride in it. He's out there diving for death balls, making fantastic catches. Jaden Reed has done a good job with that. Christian might have put himself on IR because of the fact that he was willing to dive for that ball. Wicks just feels like there isn't that heart. It's like, I'm good at this, I'm going to do this, but if it's low, there's just not that I will do anything to make sure that this is caught sort of mentality. Now, am I worried about Wicks? Not really. I think a big part of it is when Love starts to throw more accurate passes, and granted, Wicks still struggled, like that touchdown hit him in the chest. I mean, his chest was the backboard to that football, so there was nowhere for it to go. He still almost dropped it. So he's been struggling, but again, Dobbs has had drop issues. Watson has had drop issues. A lot of guys have had drop issues. And guys have bad days. That's the other thing. I mean, Jaden Reed's going to have a bad day. It's going to happen. I don't know when. He hasn't had it yet. He's been fantastic. He's going to have a crap day. Jacobs and Zach Tom and all these guys are going to have bad days. So, when it's only been 4 days, it's kind of like Sam Darnold in reverse. Sam Darnold played 1 game. It was the best quarterback in all of football. And it's like, do we take the small sample size and say this is the 100% of information and all I'll ever need to know, and therefore he's the greatest? Or do we say, this is 1 game out of 17, and if I said he had 1 game out of 17 where he was elite, would that be shocking? And the answer is no. So, I don't know 100% as far as recollection goes. I believe he's had like 2 bad games. As far as drops, I feel like week 1 was kind of similar, although everybody was kind of bad in that. But again, I to overplay my hand with the negative, and I also want to look at the positive because, again, when I look at the amount of targets and the amount of times that guy gets himself open and the route running still being there, it's kind of a question of, okay, it hasn't been exactly what we had hoped, and maybe we had too high of hopes. I know a lot of people said Wicks is going to be number one or whatever. So far, that hasn't been the case. I would say there's still an outside chance, despite the fact that Jayden Reed's been tearing everything up. And the only reason I'm saying that is because, again, this dude is open all the time. And Jordan continues to trust him. And if Jordan can start throwing better balls, and if Wicks can just tighten it up a little bit with the, getting his hands on it, I still think he can be an incredible asset. Or we can just assume that what we've seen is all that's ever going to be, and we should just be done with it, which I think is where you're going, which is why I'm prescribing to you to not overplay the negatives. Don't catastrophize the negative. Wicks has had a couple bad games. Therefore, I thought he was going to be good, but I guess he's terrible. And now I'm souring on the whole team. Hate to sound like a kindergarten teacher or a shrink or whatever, but we need to be careful with our language, Nate. Let's focus on the positives. How about Zach Tom? You don't feel bad about him, right? So it's not the whole team. It's some people. Let's work our way back from there. I was going to try to get through all of Nate's, but let's take a break here. We'll get into Nate's final call and then run over to Craig, and we'll see how much time we have after that. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Okay, this is the last one then.
I believe you.
So I was basically done. Just wanted to add a Go Pack Go, but obviously the other issues that I did want to mention is what you kind of talked about it too. Is like what's with the kicker thing? This was a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
Horrible mistake. Like if we're gonna have somebody missing the easy kicks, I would rather have Anders Carlson back here because at least Anders Carlson can hit like 78-yard field goals occasionally. He's got that huge booming leg. Like,
there's some upside.
If we're going to
there.
have somebody who's going to miss, I'd rather have that. I'd rather have the boomer bust guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And let me just remind you. And again, I'm going to assume I'm wrong about the kicker situation. That we're wrong about this because Anders is still out there and nobody wants him. And the Packers have brought in two guys that are terrible at kicking and have not even considered calling Anders Carlson. So for whatever reason, they freaking hated that guy. And like I said, he had he had the job won until he had that one bad day, and Gutekunst apparently just lost it and was like, I will never talk to that piece of trash in my life ever again. I don't know, but I just want to remind everybody of something. His field goals, while not the best in the world, he was 81% for his field goals. 81%. He missed 0 kicks under 30 yards. He also missed 0 under 40. 0. He didn't miss a single kick all year under 40. He was 3 for 5, 60% from 50 plus. His one bad range, for whatever reason, was in the 40-yard range. He was 4 of 9. I don't know what the heck the problem was there. But he was, 22 of 22 under 40 yards. No, that doesn't include extra points. I can't explain it, but 22 of 22. And he was 3 for 5 in 50 plus. He ranked 25th in field goal percentage. Again, not the greatest in the world, but 81%. I mean, Brandon McManus, 81%. Blake Grupe in New Orleans was 81%. Jake Moody in San Francisco was 82%. Greg Joseph, when he was in Minnesota, was 80%. That's sort of the range there. Do you remember what our kicker's percentage is right now? With Narveson? 69%. It's not even 70%. Would I take 80 with a couple missed extra points? Yup, sure would. And also, Narveson's going to miss some extra points. Because again, he's perfect inside of 20s. He's not perfect in the 30s. So he's not going to be perfect on extra points, despite the fact that that's why we got him. I also just noticed Matt Gay, who talked about a minute ago, he's at 60%. He's actually the lowest in the NFL, outside of Cade York, who is 0% on his 2 attempts in Washington. So maybe we don't want to go the trade for Matt Gay route, or Justin Tucker for that matter. He's at 62.5%. He may just be officially cooked. Still got Nick Folk in Tennessee, though. Still got him. He is, holy crap, he's 100%. 8 of 8 on his extra points, 7 of 7 on his field goals. 1 in the 20-yard range, 3 for 3 in the 40-yard range, 3 for 3 in the 50-yard range. Bro, what's it going to take to get Nick Folk in here, man? I would do things. I'm just saying. There are things that I would do.
We're being honest. And then the other thing is, again, I want to know whose decision it was to play Jordan. More than that, I want to know whose decision it was to try to play him with just the compression sock and not a brace on that knee. Because it was immediately obvious that he shouldn't have been playing on it. Like even the guys calling the game were like, you can literally watch him not put his weight into that front leg when he's following through with the ball.
Right.
It was blatantly obvious. And the second that you see that he can't do that, that's when you say, okay, Malik, you're playing. Sorry, Jordan. If you can't do that, we don't want to get you re-injured. And how much, damage did this game do to that knee and make it possibly worse? Like, I don't know. I think it was a terrible decision. I think there were so many bad decisions all around. The only thing that was positive is the second half defense. Second half defense was lights out, man. I got to give him credit there, but you can't give them that much of a lead that early, because then when you're trying to claw back from 28-0, it's too hard, man. It's too hard. So go Pack go. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm really souring on this whole playoff run that I thought we were going to have.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people, and I guess to some degree, myself included, where you look at it and say, okay, we dodged a bullet seemingly. Again, if I see Jordan is limited or not practicing, I'm going to be pissed. I haven't dug through the news at all or anything. I'll be doing that when I do the regular Packernet podcast. So we'll see what happened there, but that's going to be terrible. But it seems as though we may have dodged a bullet, and it might have even ended up with a better result. If, again, he had some in-game practice and was able to kind of knock off a lot of the rust in the game, and then, whatever. That it may end up working to our benefit. We'll have to see how it goes, but again, we're back to the blackjack thing. Even if we dodged a bullet, it was a stupid decision. I mean, when the Packers said they're not going to bring him back unless he's 100%, that was the right decision, and they clearly lied, and they brought him back early because they panicked about the Vikings. They got the clear from the doctors. They said, yes, he's okay to play. And, even if he is 100% healed, and even if, there really isn't pain on that knee, the problem is they obviously didn't gather enough info to see if he's ready to play. And that was one of the things I brought up beforehand, was he hasn't practiced. This could be a problem. And he was not trusting the knee. Whether or not he had pain or whatever the case may be is maybe secondary. I don't know. I tried to look for a different name so I don't have to keep talking about blackjack, but the names are kind of stupid. So apparently, if you think that the result is the only thing that matters, it's called outcome bias or resulting. So people are resulting when they talk about, it was the right decision because it turned out to be the right decision. The other names it came up with for what I like to do, which is saying, no, you shouldn't hit on 20, even if you got an ace last time, are process-oriented thinking, decision integrity. You could also call it sound decision-making or being result agnostic. Those all work, but the names don't really flow. They don't sound that good, and they also sound kind of snooty and stupid, especially sound decision-making. What I like to use is a thing called sound decision-making, not the stupid thing that you do, okay? Even though it's true, it just doesn't sound as... Maybe we'll just stick with blackjack. I don't know. But again, you ended it by saying you're not super sure. Look, we weren't sure by week 9. In fact, we were all sure that the team was cooked and we made it into the playoffs. It's way too early with way too many positive things going in our direction. I mean, we still have one of the best teams in terms of takeaways. I think getting Jair back is going to be massive. I still think there's a lot of room for growth. Hopefully we see, just give me one pass rusher that doesn't suck. That'd be great. Unfortunately, the one that I actually believed in is hurt. Anyways, and, you get the offense clicking the way it was. I think it can be a scary offense. I think it could be better than it was last year. If Jordan can continue playing that way, Jaden Reed has absolutely emerged. Losing Watson is painful, but hopefully we get him back pretty soon. And this running back is a beast. I know Aaron Jones was solid, but this guy can take a beating. He's going to get more carries. He is a violent runner, which I love. And we're using Emmanuel Wilson more, which I think is fantastic because he looks really good. So I think the 1-2 punch, you could argue, is even better than last year. If you're talking Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon compared to Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, kind of digging the 1-2 punch. So, there's a positive side to it. Especially if you just look at the first half of the last game or the first quarter, and try to drag that out through the conclusion of the season, yeah, there's not much reason for hope. But let's considering how the last 2 years turned out, where it was ugly for about 8, 9, 10 weeks, and then we ended up somehow getting into the playoffs miraculously by turning everything around and kind of dominating. Let's at least give him to week 5. Let's give Jordan an actual real game here to see if he can kind of string it together. Week 1 was just a sloppy, disgusting mess. This was a return from injury where he turned it on in the second half. Let's give him one full actual game. I'd like it to be at home, but one full real game and just see if there's any goodness there. I mean, if he comes out and is crap for an entire half again, it's going to be a little frustrating, I'll say that.
Hey, Ryan, it's Craig from Indiana. It's Monday morning, listening to your podcast. I'm not through the whole thing after the game ended, but, I probably won't say anything others have already said, but a couple things for sure. The pass rush was just terrible. I don't know what is going on with Kenny Clark. I just, looking back, wish we wouldn't have signed that contract, but I don't know what that looks like as far as getting out of it. And hopefully he has a good second half of the year. Sometimes he does that, but it's just terrible. And if Wyatt is out, that's just going to get worse. So bummed about that. Way too many penalties again. But I did want to comment on Jordan's interception near the end of the game. It just reminded me so much of the San Francisco playoff game last year.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it, kind of the hero ball that Jordan, kind of jumps into when we're playing behind. And I really was hoping that San Francisco game last year would have taught him a lesson to be patient, not to panic, not to do that. And that throw in the end zone looked just like that.
And unnecessary. There are first and second down with time on the clock, and you're throwing a Hail Mary into the end zone, which ended up being like double, triple coverage, and it gets picked. And it's like, why? Why? I think the best example of this was the game that he played in college his senior year, or his final year, I should say. I don't know if he played his senior year. His final year there against LSU. And it was the year that everybody soured on him. It was interceptions were through the roof and everything else. It was more the year before everybody was like, oh, this guy's really talented. It was the reason Jordan fell to us. But it was the only game I had watched of him prior to us drafting him, and I was like, this guy's garbage. This guy's terrible. But, listen, LSU is significantly better, and their DBs are out of control good. And Jordan just didn't care. Jordan's like, look, we're going to win this game. I don't really care. So he launch it. Some of them weren't even terrible balls, but they're 50-50 balls, and of course they get picked because it's, his wide receivers against their DBs, and it didn't go. But he has no fear of it. He is the anti-Aaron Rodgers. He has no fear whatsoever. He believes he can make every throw. That's similar to Rodgers, but Rodgers has a deep fear of interceptions that Jordan just doesn't have. And I think as Packer fans, we're hoping to find somebody a little in between. Please throw that. That was a throw you should have made, Rodgers. Whereas you look at Jordan and just go, bro, that there was a 0.1% chance that was going to get caught by your guy. What the heck are you doing? But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's something just ingrained in his DNA that he's not going to get away from or what. There has to be some way to explain this to him. I don't know if situational awareness is big. If it's a playoff game and it's fourth down and it's your only play and somebody's bearing down on you, yeah, you got to throw it. You got to throw it somewhere. If it gets picked, it gets picked. It's just the way it goes. But when you have time on the clock and it's first down and you have timeouts and you just need a first down, you don't need a touchdown, and you launch a ball into the end zone, that's just terrible situational awareness because you're playing as though this is the last play of the game and you shouldn't be. So I feel like it's teachable, but he's been doing it since college. He did it to end our season last year. Not that we were going to win that freaking game anyways, but that ended our season last year, and it really hurt us in this game. And that's the other thing that's scary about Jordan. We can talk about the knee all we want. There's still a decision-making issue that was taking place with Jordan in that game.
And we had plenty of time. And, again, we were We were in good field position.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a first down or second down. It seemed early. It wasn't like a fourth down or something that we were going for it. But I just hope he gets over that. I hope that whether Matt can coach that up better or he just starts to shift, or maybe it's a play call that's not even an option to do that. But
sure.
That was disappointing. So I am proud of the way we came back. If there's a silver lining, you mentioned it as well. We played like crap for over 3/4 of the game and only lost by 2 to a really good team that wasn't necessarily doing a bunch of screw ups. It wasn't like they had 5 or 6 turnovers. There's no moral victories, but I do feel good about the attitude. I certainly gave up more than the team gave up, which I think is a good thing. So I hope again that's what emboldens us and encourages us going forward. That if we just play an average game, we would have smoked them, and not even having to play out of our butt. So that's I guess that's encouraging going forward. I just hope the injuries to Watson and Wyatt aren't season-ending. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, and even I mentioned I had somebody arguing with me about the moral victory thing. I think if you phrase it as a moral victory, then sure, yeah, it doesn't count on the actual stat sheet or whatever. It doesn't count on your record. There are no moral victories. But again, it's not even about the moral victory. It's about what kind of a team are you? Are you a team that's even capable of a comeback? Are you a team that has the intestinal fortitude and the mental strength to say, I'm not done, I'm not out, we're going to fight back and to come back? And they are. And to be talented enough to throw up, however many points in less than 2 quarters. I do think it says something about the caliber of the team, the quality of the team, and what they're capable of. So as far as moral victories, I just don't think that's the right way to phrase it. I think people will say that to try to disparage people who are feeling good about the situation, but that's what they call a straw man argument. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about moral victories. So I think there is reason for optimism. I think that you should be happy that it I don't want to say ended the way that it did, but assuming we lose, that's the best possible outcome. Just taking it on the chin and say we should have quit or whatever. I don't know what the argument on the other side is, but no, I do think that it's I don't know what the word would be, but moral victory is not it. That we should be excited about the way that they finished. Now the question is, can you do that next week? Can you play again? We said this all last year, and I understand that this is different because we had Week 1 was all jacked up. Weeks 2 and 3, we had our backup quarterback, even though we played good football and sound football. Week 4, Jordan came back and was kind of hobbled and kind of out of sorts. Okay, it's been a weird 4 weeks. Can we start Week 5 on a fresh note? Can we get Jair back and a healthy Jordan and a full week of practice, knowing who our quarterback is, with a good game plan against a team that is beat up and in the dumps and just completely in despair? Not do the Packers in California thing where we fall apart, play 4 solid quarters, and just get a victory. Because at that point, if you can't, and you can't do it the week after that, the week after that, and the week after that, then yeah, the whole quote-unquote moral victory thing was kind of useless. Not because the moral victory wasn't worth anything, because nobody cares about a moral victory, but the fact that second half against the Vikings didn't materialize into something moving forward. That's the only thing that matters. Is that going to materialize moving forward? Is that going to help us win games? And not, as Nate said, just against the teams that have no hope in the playoffs, but against actual contenders. Can we do that against the Vikings next time? Can we do that against the Lions? Can we do that against the, Texans or whoever else is going to end up being a good football team? Because I do expect the Texans to hit their stride probably right around the time we're going to play them. And the Lions seemingly have already come out of their slump, at least Jared Goff has. He played a really good game. I didn't check his grades or anything, but I think he was 18 of 18, from what I watched too, he looked really good. So the Lions appear to be back in sorts. That's just what we need. Again, I've been patient with everybody. I'm looking at the Lions, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to stay that way. I'm looking at the Chiefs, even though, again, they're winning. They're not playing well. They're going to start playing well. The 49ers are going to start turning around. They already did. I should have every reason to believe the Packers will do the exact same thing, and I do. Don't know what the final form is going to be. That's what we're going to find out at the end of the year. Is it going to be, man, the Packers are the hottest team in football, kind of like they were last year? Or, not that it mattered. Or is it going to be, they're not great, but hey, any given Sunday? I don't know. But as far as the range of outcomes are concerned, in my opinion, the least likely, at least right now, is that the Packers continue to play this way forever. Jordan never gets back to being a good quarterback. The defense is just not good, and they can't cover, and they can't do anything, and our receivers can't play aside from Reed on some jet sweeps, and we just wallow in despair. I mean, it's a possibility. I just don't know that it's the most likely at this time. And the problem is I don't have hardly any data to work with, especially on the offense. I have no idea what this offense is going to be because I haven't really seen it yet. Next week is hopefully going to be the first week where we have, not in Brazil, full game plan, knowing who the quarterback is, and it's our starting quarterback and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. Anyways, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.